Hey guys, One Hit Wonder here for another edition of Plugged In Short Circuit. We'll be talking about EVO 2016. Now, the fighting game genre has been around, well, since forever, I guess, and has been one of the biggest genres in all of video gaming. Starting out in the early days of the arcade with classics such as Street Fighter II and Mortal Kombat, it has only grown bigger and bigger every year. As such, the community behind these addictive competitive games has only grown as well and has been one of the biggest competitive scenes in the world. As such, tournaments have been happening all over all the time, where local people contest their skills, their might against each other to find out who is the best. Well, of course, with all these tournaments, there happens to be one that's really big. EVO is that big tournament for the fighting game community. It's a place where everyone around the world gathers to face off to find who's the best at a variety of different fighting games. Now, of course, the last few years, esports has really blown up. Media juggernauts like ESPN have finally started to take notice of the big impact that esports are leaving on our society. And now it seems a lot more people are starting to take esports seriously. The growing number of people participating, the sponsorships involved, the money involved, it seems esports are truly starting to become a serious thing in the world. Of course, you have Dota 2 with the International, and League of Legends has their tournaments, with the International being a big prize pool. That isn't to say the fighting game community doesn't have their own big tournament, and that is EVO. And this year, it looks like they're going to be even bigger. Check this out. EVO is going to be in the Las Vegas Convention Center for this year, but the finals for that event will be in the 12,000-seat Mandalay Bay Event Center. Now that is a big deal. I mean, look at that. Look at that. The main stage, this big center for all these people. The International had something similar as well for their finals. And it's great to see EVO getting that kind of recognition and seeing, how they can fill out this giant event center. But EVO isn't until July 15th. This year. It runs from July 15th to the 17th. But what I'm here to talk about is the announcement of the lineup for EVO 2016, the official EVO 2016 lineup. And let's not waste any more time and get right to it. So, here are the games that will be played at EVO 2016. Street Fighter V, Super Smash Bros. Melee, Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, Guilty Gear Xrd Revolator, however you say that, Mortal Kombat XL, we'll get to that in a bit, Pokken Tournament, Killer Instinct, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and a surprise announcement that was made on a live stream a couple days ago, Tekken 7 Fated Retribution. Now, a couple notes about some of the things here. For one, you may notice that Street Fighter 4 is not on this list. Not on. See, look at the list. So look at all these games. Street Fighter 4 isn't one of them. Now that has raised kind of a big question on the fighting game community as to why that was omitted. Of course, Street Fighter V is coming out this year on February 16th. So it seems to reason that all the fighting people are moving on to that. But it's strange to see Street Fighter 4 being omitted from the roster. And I'm talking about the most recent version, Ultimate Street Fighter 4, which is basically a compilation of all the Street Fighter 4s that came out. I guess is the bare bones way of saying it. Now, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is a good example of what people are saying. That has been on the roster for a couple years now. It is definitely not a new game. It's kind of an old game. Street Fighter 4 is also an old game, but Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom has been on the roster for the last few years. And they may be wondering, why is 5 taking the place of 4 when it's just coming out? Of course, with it just coming out, it's the logical progression of how these tournaments go. When a new game is announced, that kind of takes the place of the old game. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is the latest in the Marvel vs. Capcom series, and we're probably never going to get another one, but I probably too soon to say. But that is the oldest version of that game, and that is why it's probably still in the thing. But definitely a thing, controversy. But it's nice to see Street Fighter V, even though it's coming out this year, is going to be on the roster, and it's looking to be an awesome game, and it's looking to be a great improvement over Street Fighter 4. But whether or not Street Fighter 4 should have been on the roster is left up to the, I guess, the more fighting game community inclined people who are more into the scene than I am personally. So that's for them to debate and for them to figure out, I guess. Another note, Smash Bros. Melee, Smash Bros. For Wii U. They were at the last year saying, of course, no Project M, which is, for the people who don't know, Project M is a fan modification of the Wii released Super Smash Bros. Brawl, which basically turned Brawl into Melee, like Melee mechanics, Melee physics, basically Melee. Probably, in my opinion, probably one of the best user-made mods for any game ever. It definitely ranks up there as a pretty good one. Of course, the implications of that is it's a mod, and technically, Nintendo would not like to see a mod like Project M being touted at one of the biggest fighting game tournaments of the year. As well as Project M has officially ceased development, and is very much rumored that Nintendo was getting ready to send a official cease and desist letter to the Project M development team. Whether or not cease and desist, or they're just going to say, or they were just saying, if you do not stop, we are going to send our lawyers after you and shut you down and probably ask for money. But that's speculation on my part. I can't really confirm or deny that. Another note, Mortal Kombat XL. Of course, if you saw my previous video on the subject, you will know my kind of negative response to how they've been trained the PC people as of late. If you want to see that video, I will leave a link in the description. But apparently this will be the PS4 version and the Xbox One version, I'm assuming. It's not going to be PC. It will be one of the console versions, so you'll see what happens there. And I'm assuming all the characters will be legal to use if it's going to be the XL version, which is basically the complete version of Mortal Kombat X. And another thing, Pokken Tournament, which was a surprise announcement earlier this year, 2015, of a Pokemon-based fighting game, kind of based on the Tekken engine. And it's pretty curious how that got on the list, because the fighting community for that cannot be that big. Honestly, it could be that Nintendo or Namco Bandai decide to throw money at the event and say, feature this game, because, you know, it's a tournament. It's a tournament for skill, yes, but it's also, and let's be honest, it's definitely a very good advertising platform for these developers to get involved with. So, could be money. Who knows? But it'll be interesting to see it nonetheless. Overall, I'm not surprised by this lineup. We get a lot of returning things like Smash Bros. Melee, Smash Bros. For Wii U, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom. I do especially like Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom, although it's kind of been getting kind of repetitive with the finalists for that game, I guess. Killer Instinct, great to see that back. It's definitely kind of grown on me, and it will be coming out for PC this year, and we'll be getting more fighters this year. No real objections from me for this lineup. Of course, some people will say King of Fighters being omitted is kind of weird, because there's definitely a scene for that. Now, I don't know if there's a new one being made or not, but pretty strange omission. Although that isn't to say there won't be any side streams or side events where these fighting games will take place. It's just they will not take place on the main stage or on the main stream. But if there are other streamers there, you could possibly see fighting these different games going on, or in the salty suites, as I believe certain streamers like to call it. Definitely Team Spooky does that for sure. If you don't know who Team Spooky is, they're one of the biggest fighting game streamers on Twitch, and the guy behind it is very passionate about the fighting game community, so you should maybe check him out. I'm not saying you should, but, you know, if you want to learn more about fighting games or something, or you want to watch someone who knows their stuff about fighting games, go check out Team Spooky. But anyway, that is the lineup. EVO 2016 is going to be from July 15th to the 17th, and it will be broadcast live on Twitch. I'm assuming Twitch is going to do their stupid, well, I don't know, stupid subscription model where if you want to get the best bitrate, the best quality source video, you're going to have to pony up and pay $10, I believe, or $12. But that's another story for another time if we deem it necessary. Also, Street Fighter 5, which is probably going to be the big headlining thing for the tournament, is coming out February 16th, so people will have time to get good and compete for that. Well, of course, to get to EVO, you have to win certain tournaments or be rankings in certain tournaments, so whether or not people can start playing it and get into it is beyond me. But once again, EVO 2016, the lineup seems to be good, and it's July 15th to the 17th this summer. I'm One Hit Wonder, and this has been Plugged In Short Circuit. I'll see you next time.